We are a mere few weeks into 2018 and the Nintendo Switch rumor mill is at an all-time high, and that really has to do with the success of the system. I don't think anyone expected the system to be selling as well as it has, to be breaking sales records of previously set things like the Wii. Like, it's been an anomaly. It's been a crazy ride with the Nintendo Switch, and really, you're just going up that roller coaster. You haven't even hit the peak yet. You're nowhere near that peak. So things have been becoming very exciting. You're seeing different companies bringing their projects to the Nintendo Switch, different companies paying attention to the Nintendo Switch, different games coming to the Nintendo Switch. And recently I did something on a E3 leak that was supposedly a E3 leak for Nintendo's first party lineup at E3 2018, and you guys really seem to enjoy that video. At the end of the video, I came to the conclusion that maybe this isn't written in stone, maybe this is just a bunch of fluff, but there were some interesting concepts in there nonetheless, and very plausible things that we could end up seeing coming to the Nintendo Switch. But this next one, there's a lot more credence behind it. There's a lot more fact behind it. There's a lot more proof that this is 100% legit. And really, it's very interesting because it means a lot for the system, and it could potentially pull the veil on something that a lot of people are wondering. So if you're an old school Nintendo fan who's been around YouTube for a while, you've heard of DocTrey81. Everyone knows DocTrey81. He's an old school YouTuber. He's been on YouTube for quite a while, and he's sort of like a detective. Like, he always finds the weirdest things, and people are like, oh, you know, you're just talking out your ass. But then they end up becoming true. So it's actually pretty impressive how decent his track record is. He's kind of like Encyclopedia Brown or something, a little detective, little monocle looking at you. But Doc Trey found something on Linked ID, which is a website for different professionals to sort of beef up your, it's almost like an ongoing resume. It shows you what you're doing, what you are accomplishing in life, what you have previously accomplished in life, so that other businesses can sort of see who you are and what you're about. And immediately when I heard that this story came from Linked ID, I knew Trey had to be behind it, and sure enough he was. So it appears that Bandai Namco is doing some crazy stuff on the Nintendo Switch. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video, because potentially Bandai Namco could be bringing an old franchise back to the Nintendo Switch and working on a huge Nintendo franchise as well. So sit back, relax, and we're going to talk about Metroid Prime 4 and Ridge Racer potentially on the Nintendo Switch from Bandai Namco.
Hey, RGT85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! All right, so the root of the story basically comes to us from a Linked ID profile of a person who works at Bandai Namco. They've been working for the company of Bandai Namco in Singapore since May of 2016, and they're currently still working on there. So if you've never been to Linked ID before, basically the way it works is it's sort of an ongoing resume so that you can show other companies and whatnot things that you're working on. And they've actually have been many discoveries of games and gaming related things, upcoming projects that have been discovered on LinkedIn because these people want to let people know what they are working on. So just in case they lose their job or something, you can say, hey, you know, I did this at my previous company, and you make yourself attractive to people. So the first thing on this person's Linked ID profile is pretty astounding. Projects, unannounced IP, first person shooter / adventure exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. So right then and there, bells are going off. It's like sirens are going off. It's like, what is this? And when you look at Bandai Namco's track record, when you look at their history of either Bandai or Namco, you notice one thing. There's not many first-person adventure games or first-person shooters coming from these companies. This is sort of an outside realm for them. Really, when you're talking about Nintendo systems, you have the Metroid Prime series, which is a first-person perspective, and you had Geist, which was a first-person perspective. Now, I loved Geist on the GameCube. That was developed by N-Space, which has then moved on to other projects. I think they may have actually disbanded. RIP. N-Space. I loved you guys. You made some cool games. But Geist was a really interesting game, but I don't really foresee that being a sequel. So a lot of people are interpreting this as potentially Metroid Prime 4 is being worked on by Bandai Namco. And you might say to yourself, well, why would Nintendo outsource that? Why wouldn't they give it to Retro or something? You have to look no further than Smash 4. Now, Smash 4 was developed by, ding, 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 Bandai Namco. Like, Bandai Namco and Nintendo have a very close working relationship right now. And so I could totally see Metroid Prime 4 being developed by Bandai Namco with Nintendo's help for the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, they are a very competent company. They have been a very successful company, and they have a track record of working with Nintendo on major IPs that Nintendo owns. Do I think that this game is Metroid Prime 4? I'm kind of 50-50 on it, and let me tell you guys why. Because I feel like a lot of these projects that are being talked about and pretty much being implicated, these are being implicated as 2018 releases from Bandai Namco of Singapore. And I still remain that I don't feel we're gonna see Metroid Prime 4 coming to the Nintendo Switch this year. I think you're still gonna see Pokemon. I think Pokemon is gonna be the big holiday game. I don't expect to see Bandai Namco working on Metroid Prime 4 and then all of a sudden it coming out this summer, because a lot of these games are being rumored from an earlier article that released, I believe it was in November of 2017, that said that Bandai Namco was working on 3 exclusive Nintendo Switch games that were going to be released in spring or summer of 2018. So that really narrows the window down for Metroid Prime 4. That would be like essentially Nintendo hitting the E3 stage with all this cool Metroid Prime 4 stuff and being like, coming out next week, and like, whoa, coming out next week. I don't know. That's the one thing sort of holding me back. I could fully believe that Nintendo would give the reins to Bandai Namco to work on this game with their help, because they're a very competent and top tier company. But the time frame of it kind of makes me a little bit leery. Could this be a brand new IP of a first person shooter adventure game? I totally think so. That's obviously a very viable market, and a market that's not really present on the Nintendo Switch currently. Aside from what? Doom? You don't really have any FPS games and whatnot. So I could definitely see them working on a brand new IP. Could it be Metroid Prime 4? Yes. Could it be a new IP? Yes. Pretty much flip a coin at this point and you have my answer, because I can't really decide. Now the other thing has me so excited and I just can't hide it. I don't know what that was. I sincerely apologize. Please don't unsubscribe for me for my little dance move, but it looks like Ridge Racer is coming to the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch, and you do not know how excited I am. On this person's profile, it is also listed that they are working on Ridge Racer coming to the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch. Now, if you're a younger gamer, you might not know what Ridge Racer is. If you're over the age of 20, you probably know what Ridge Racer is, and it's awesome arcade racing action. Ridge Racer used to come out on like every system, and it was really a way for Namco to sort of show that they knew the hardware of the system, because I remember Ridge Racers being beautiful. You know, Ridge Racer 64 looked great. Ridge Racer on the PS1, some of those games looked amazing. You used to have them at system launches as well. The DS had a Ridge Racer at launch. The 3DS had a Ridge Racer at launch. The PSP had a Ridge Racer at launch. And 9 times out of 10, those were some of the best looking launch games on the system, because you could really make a highly stylized arcade racing game with a really fast frame rate and make it look really good even on early hardware, because it's not too taxing. It's not something you have to worry about a lot of stuff. You got to worry about high resolution polygons, bright colors, and speed. As long as you did that and the AI was good, you had a solid racing game. So Ridge Racer sort of harks back to that Daytona USA era, that Sega Rally era, that Ridge Racer era, when Ridge Racer was a huge franchise, and unfortunately it's just sort of gone by the wayside. You haven't seen a Ridge Racer in a while. The last one that released, I've heard, some sort of mixed reactions to it. It wasn't all that great, but I welcome Ridge Racer with open arms. Ridge Racer, come back to me. Come back to me. I love my arcade racing action. Give me some online. Ridge Racer has a ton of unlockables as well. Every version of Ridge Racer has tons of unlockable cars, unlockable tracks, mirror tracks, all sorts of fun stuff. It's fast paced. It's techno music blaring, and you're just driving fast as hell, trying to drift and whatnot. Ridge Racer is an awesome franchise. It deserves to come back, and I would love to see it on the Nintendo Switch. What do I think about this linked ID leak? Basically, I'm fully on board with this. Linked ID has come through time and time again with different video game stories, because people want to get their works out there so that other companies can know about it. And another thing I want to mention very briefly that I actually just remembered is that there was a game being worked on called Star Wars 1313, which was a first-person shooter game that was being developed. And a lot of those people got canned from LucasArts and actually moved on to Bandai Namco. So once again, that sort of gives credence to You know, although they haven't done a first-person game before, you know, a first-person shooter, there are people there that know how to do one. That was a very talented studio. So altogether, this is all very exciting news. Whether you're a PS4 owner or a Nintendo Switch owner, you're getting something very cool coming very soon, potentially. A first-person action or a first-person adventure, first-person shooter in Ridge Racer. This kicks ass. I want more stuff like this. This is great. So let me know in the comment section down below. I guess the big question that I want to ask you guys is Metroid Prime 4 being worked on by Bandai Namco? Do you see them as the company that is working on Metroid Prime 4? And are you excited to see Ridge Racer? And thank you for checking out this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, share this video around, leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Check out the description box. We got all sorts of links down there. We got social medias, t-shirts, Facebook, Patreon, all sorts of fun stuff. So make sure you guys check that out, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.
RGT 85! RGT 85! RGT 85!